All right, what is up, YouTube? This is the GoatCast podcast for this week. I, of course, am CW, the one that's always right, and I'm here with my man Big Nige. I think I saw you somewhere this weekend. What's going on, Big Nige?
I'm good. I'm like a lot of you guys at this point are extremely excited for the next 2K, or if you're like some other people, you're kind of pessimistic about this next 2K. But all in all, the same people who don't like it, same with the people who do like it, they're probably going to get the game. They're going to critique it, but they're still going to play it and they're still going to pay for it.
Well, not this old geezer, because I kind of gave up about 2K 2020 was probably the last one I bought. I played 2022 and 2023, but I am terrible. So the question is, I raised the poll earlier as are people going to get 2K? And for the most part, it was 50-50 on Goatcast Hoops channel. And I believe on ours, most people said yes. So it looks like it's a winner. I had one person say they're not going to return because 2K is trash, but I mean, I don't play enough to know whether that's correct or not. But since we have our local expert on 2K here, and we'll definitely, if you, we'll talk about it at the end, but definitely drop your gamer tags if you're getting into this live stream or watch this afterwards. So, you can play with Big Nige and the Goatcast crew.
Y'all can
But
get dropped off, especially.
we ain't worried about that. Well, if I'm playing, yeah, but but anyways, we're going to go through their rating system. I think Gil said everything is based off of the GOAT himself, MJ at 99. That's what Ronnie 2K told him. And everybody kind of falls in line after that. That's how they rate them. So let's see this year what's going on. I'm not going to leave that up because you're going to present something, but we're going to talk about the top 75 players in 2K this season.
All right. Let me see. I think I'm still good for now. I'm not moving. I'm not funny looking right now.
You started to
Okay.
lag a little bit, but you're good now.
Yeah. Okay. But like I said before, definitely y'all can get dropped off if y'all want to play. But anyway, um, so these 2K ratings are always questionable. I think there's always some ratings that are going to go back and forth between certain players. Who performed very well last season, who didn't show, who didn't perform at that as well. Their ratings are going to reflect it. And the good thing about 2K is players can play themselves into higher ratings. Flip side is they can play themselves into lower ratings. And and so we're not going to spend too much time in it. Just going to kind of give our quick thoughts on. We're going to do 25, but then other content creators started posting their top 25 and seeing how that's been going. So I'm gonna bring it down to 75. We're not gonna spend too much time on it, but I wanted to give you our thoughts on these 2K ratings. To see if our local old head kind of agrees with these ratings. So we'll go with the first five. From Josh Hart, Alex Caruso, Jalen Suggs, Herb Jones, Jeremy Grant, and Darius Garland. Do we agree with this 82 rating for this crew?
I see no issues with that. That's probably Darius Garland, but he didn't have the greatest season last year, so I think that's reflective of it. I think that's what -4. So
Yeah, he
yeah,
dropped down.
so I mean that's indicative of his gameplay throughout most of last season. So I agree with those.
And the middle rating, just for those who aren't aware, that's their 3-point rating, and the far right one, where my mouse is, this guy, that's their dunk rating. So
And
as we
Garland
as
can't
we
dunk.
creep as we creep up to 67, yeah, I mean Garland, I'm pretty sure he can dunk, but like you go and try to dunk with him on 2K, and it's just like he just does these layups, and you can do very good layups with him. Don't get me wrong. He's a
Oh,
crafty guard and he's fun to play with. However, you go and try to dunk, probably getting your layup snatched or your dunk attempt
Okay,
blocked.
it's not okay. He's not gonna get you any highlights out there.
So as for me, I think these players are about in the same tier, like Josh Hart, Alex
Mhm.
Caruso, Herb Jones, Jalen Suggs. Like these guys are like, two-way kind of glue guys, can do a little bit of everything, rebound, defend at a high level, shoot. Although Jalen Suggs probably the worst shooter out of these four, with Herb Jones probably coming in as a close second. Um, but kind of think Jeremy Grant's a little higher. I think he's probably the best out of this group in terms of all
I
around
agree.
game. So I would probably like to see him closer into the 80, 83, 84 range. We'll kind of see as the list goes on. But I think Jeremy Grant, he's just wasting away in Portland. And his record, his overall shows because he's not playing for any meaningful basketball games. So jumping up, I'm going to jump up to about right here to the list goes on. So we're going to go from 68 to 61.
Mhm.
Got Desmond Bain pulling up there, Michael Porter Jr., Kuzma, the UFC boxing champion Draymond Green. Of course, we got Tyler Hero, Zach LaVine, Miles Turner, and Aaron Gordon. So, how we feeling about these ratings?
So you just said forget DeAndre Ayton, but I
I
get
mean,
it
he's
because
forgettable. I mean, he is very forgettable,
I
but
get
yeah,
it because he's exactly where he should be. I think he could probably go down a little lower, but oh, that's rough for Zach LaVine, but he hasn't played enough. So, yeah, you got to play to earn your rating. Draymond, he's about where he should be, I think. Especially after last season, Kuzma's a shocker to me because I mean, being the best player, one of the best players on the Washington Wizards is not exactly like saying you're, something, but 83 is kind of low. I think he could go up a little bit. I could see him as an 84. Well, seeing as Miles Turner and Aaron Gordon are there, I don't think he's on their level. And also shocking is Michael Porter Jr. and Desmond Bain. I mean, yeah, these guys got kind of smacked down a little bit. Yeah, it's. I think. I mean, Tyler Hero, he's about where he should be, I believe. But Kuzma, MPJ, and Desmond could probably and will probably move up. I think in these rankings or with their rating, because yeah, that's kind of low for them.
I think my biggest takeaway from this list is not so much the rating, like the overall, but like Draymond has an 83 point rating, which
Oh,
is
that's three. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's 3 point. Yeah,
yeah, and that's the same as
pretty
Kuzma. Are we saying Draymond is the shooter that Kyle
no,
Kuzma is?
no, no.
No,
Yeah, I don't know which Draymond they saw, but not the one I saw last season.
I think Draymond's 3 point rating should be about right here, if I'm being honest. But 2K has different opinions.
Oh man.
So, other than that, I mean, I think Desmond Bain, Michael Porter Jr., Kuzma, like they've shown instances where they can kind of, upgrade their style of play and maybe play in the mid 80s, maybe upper 80s if they're really on one. But I'm not upset with these rankings. I think Draymond's a little too high. I think I'd put him a little lower, personally speaking. I think
You,
if you take his three ball rating to what it should be, he's probably closer to like an 81, 80
ooh,
overall.
you killing Draymond. Like
He can't shoot, bro. He's not like he's a good defender,
I'm
and
I'm sure his
and
defensive numbers are probably high. That's what keeps him up
to
there.
his credit, yes. And when you go and try to dunk on Draymond in 2K, it ain't flying, dog. He
Hmm.
got some superpowers when it comes to being a rim protector. Even he's only 6'6", but you know his overall game, he's okay in the lower 80s. Like 83 isn't egregious, but it's like you see some of these people on this list, and it's like, Draymond really he ain't better than Kuzma. I mean, in certain respects, he is. Just like with
Yeah.
Michael Porter Jr. But if we're talking about 83 and the 80 trade ball, yeah, that's where we gotta somebody got to get drug tested, man. So other than that, Zach Levine didn't play too well because he was injured, obviously, last
Yeah.
season for a good part of it. So he drops down. I don't think 2K should drop you down because you're coming off an injury. I think we need to see what you look like when you get back. And you'll see that as we get further up in this list. Certain players are kind of getting disrespected. But overall, I'm not mad with 61 to 69. So we're going to move on up. Now we're into the 60s. We'll stop about right here, about 52 to 60. Obviously, I don't need to keep reading the names for everybody. I'll go first with this one. CJ McCollum definitely coming off of probably one of the worst, definitely in-season tournament, not in-season tournament, the play-in tournament, excuse me. He played very poorly in the play-in tournament and egregiously bad in the first round against the Thunder. So he's pretty low. Do I agree with it? I think it's okay. He has room to grow and he can definitely show some better things throughout this regular season. But 84 ain't bad considering what he's coming off of. That honestly might be a little inflated if you ask me. Jared Allen coming off of a postseason injury. He was playing fine until he got hurt. He even had some teammates saying that he wasn't as hurt as he led on to believe. So he went up one overall from his production. But again, I'm not mad at 84. Harden fell off a cliff. He does, but he has moments where he looks like a 64. Then he has moments where he looks like a 94. So in terms of 2K, he's probably fine where he's at, just because you can make mid-tier guys look like Hall of Famers, look like legends on this game. Definitely still a nice jump shot. He has, especially in this 2K coming up, he's got a pretty nasty handle. So I look to see some people utilizing some of those animations. Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green. They're both. I think Jalen Green's better than Fred VanVleet. So I'd honestly like to see him maybe in like an 85, 86. He showed a lot of promise this last season. Obviously, the Rockets didn't win that many games. Better than before, but still.
They were in the hunt for a playoff spot.
Yeah. Jalen Green is nice, but the rest of that team could be better. OG and Mikal Bridges, similar players, play similarly. One's a little bit bigger than the other, but they play the game about the same way. It's going to be interesting seeing them on the same court together.
Exactly.
And then Middleton. 85, kind of high for Middleton. Not going to lie. He didn't look very well this past season. Listen. I know you're speaking up for your bald brethren, but let's just keep it trill. Let's keep it trill for a sec. He's probably no better than CJ McCollum. He's just a little taller. He can get to his shots a little easier. I think he's a little lower than 85. I'd go probably in that 83 range.
He was the one that kept the Bucks in that Pacers series.
I don't think like 85. I mean, if you want to give him 85, that's cool. To me, he's more like an 80 to 83, if we're going to be honest. So, again, not egregiously bad, but 85 is kind of high.
Hey, you killing these guys.
Hey, man. And don't even get me started what his jump shot look like on 2K. We ain't going to get that far because that jump shot is cheekums. All right. So, I know I ain't equipped in that jump shot, and I know y'all ain't equipped in it either. So, we ain't going to act like it. But it looks good in real life, though. What are your thoughts from 52 to 60? We ain't gonna talk about Bradley Beal because he stinks.
Bradley Beal, he's dropped how many? 3? Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same as you. Nothing too flagrant or egregious, as they say. It pretty much shows what I thought. OG and Mikal Bridges are like the same player, and this kind of shows that they're in the same kind of stratosphere. Other than that, I think this is about where most of these guys go. James Harden, yeah, I mean, he's up and down. At this age, I think 84 is probably a nice gift to him. I think that's a that's retroactive for his career. I kind of feel like he's kind of falling off a cliff, but I mean, he's James Harden. His game probably translates to the video game better than it does to the actual court nowadays. So, uh, everybody else, I feel like they're at the pretty much the spot they should be.
What do you feel about James Harden 84 driving dunk? You right there with OG and Bradley Beal, and
I mean,
84 is
'cause he
kind of
can-
high.
I mean, he can do it too. You saw game one against the Mavs. You know, he still has it in him, but you know, he can't do it on a consistent basis, which we could say for some of the guys that are probably way up higher. You know, he can't do it consistently, but he can still give you 84, 85 worth, you know, gameplay throughout a game or throughout certain games. He's more built for matchups now than he was before.
What about Bradley Beal's 87 trade ball? Because I know I didn't see that in the postseason, so I'm just
87.
curious.
Eh, I mean, I guess that's a retroactive one too because it didn't show in the series against the Timberwolves. I know that much, but I mean, I guess it's still there. He, you know, he was not a non-factor when it counted last year, so you know they're being kind of they're gifted him some extra points. I think there.
All right. Well, moving on, we're gonna go from 51. We'll just go 51 to 46 since the page is gonna break. So you got the Rudy, the defensive player of the year, runaway defensive player of the year for some people, Rudy Gobert, the shot blocking monster, right? We got Sengun, got Ingram, the guy that CW says I hate the most, and Julius Randle,
Yes.
Scotty Barnes, and Big Dog Mobley. How we feeling?
Oh, that's interesting. They have Mobley so much higher than Allen. That's kind of odd to me, but I mean, I guess I'm okay with that. Scotty Barnes 85, and that's pretty much right. Julius Randle, I think had he not been gotten hurt, he'd probably be a little higher. His gameplay before his injury, I could see him as like an 88. You know, he was playing well for the Knicks. Brandon Ingram was trash during the playoffs, so he's right where he should be. Sengun had a pretty good season. 85, probably right. I think his will go up throughout the season. He'll get the benefit of the doubt. Gobert, if we base it on his Olympic play, he should be down there. He should be under Draymond Green.
Oh, I got you. Let me help you out real quick. Let me hold up. I'm still working.
Yeah.
About in this area.
I think Jalen McDaniels is an 80.
No worse than Derek Lively right now. I think he's in this ballpark comfortably with all these bigs. You see all these bigs? Hartenstein, Vooch, Gafford. This is where he should be in this area.
Yeah, I agree.
think he's worse than Naz Reid, but he should be comfortably in the lower 90s.
I agree. Yeah, he could
High
definitely
90s. Excuse me, high 90s. Right here.
yeah, he could definitely be down there if we're basing it on his Olympic play alone. I mean, he had some good moments in the playoffs, but you know, he's who he is, and I think he's getting rewarded because he was a defensive player of the year and he won an award. They're not going to put him down there in the 80s, in the low 80s. So he's got to be somewhere high enough to where he's got some merit. So I guess that's good, but I could see a massive drop off when it comes to the season. I mean, he'll be good defensively. He's like Draymond. He'll be good defensively, but the Olympics should have been where he really shined because that's more built for his style of play, but he was really a non-factor. So we'll see how well he does this season with those Minnesota Timberwolves. But everybody else, I think, like I said, Julius Randle could have been higher had he not been hurt. Scotty Barnes, he's kind of mid. He's a mid all-star type level guy, so I'm not mad at that. And everybody else, I'm kind of mad that Evan Mobley's this much higher than Jared Allen. But other than that, Ingram's where he should be.
I'll touch on the Evan Mobley. I think he got to show more when they played against the Celtics out in the second round. I think you got to see a little bit of his untapped potential without Jared Allen. I mean, I think 2K is kind of basing it off of what they saw in the postseason because he played really good. Like he was, I'd say, their second best player in that series. Right after Donovan Mitchell went down, he definitely continued to show flashes of being a very versatile big man, can switchability, blocking shots, even stepping out and hitting the long ball. So definitely want to give him his props there. 86 is kind of high, but considering what he did, if he was an 85 overall before and he went up one overall, I'm not mad at that. I think Julius Randle, he could definitely be higher. Same thing with Scotty Barnes. I think both of them could probably be in the, higher 80 tier, maybe like 87, 88. I think they're very important for their respective ball clubs. Although Julius Randle's role might be a little subjective at this point. We'll have to wait and see how the Knicks want to utilize his skill set. But Scotty Barnes is undoubtedly the Raptors' best player. So I would have liked to seen him get a little bit more love. Maybe, like I said, he already went up 2 overall, so it's not like they're not showing him love. But I think 86, 87 might have been a little bit more where he's suited, being the number one go-to guy for that team. Yeah. Ingram definitely didn't play very well in the postseason. He got benched for Trey Murphy, which was rightfully so because Murphy was playing good, shooting the heck out that ball and defending his tail off. So got to give him his credit too. Sengun made some improvements. I like him at 85. I don't like him having the same overall as Rudy Gobert, but we already know I see Rudy Gobert in the low 80s at best. So not going to waste too much time. And we're going to go ahead and jump on up from 45 to we'll go 37 since Chet's getting cut off a little bit. But as you can see, we got Porzingis, Jamal Murray, Mr. Big Shot, Mr. Kill my Lakers in the fourth quarter, but stink quarters 1 through 3. So yeah. Got Jaren Jackson Jr., got Lauri Markkanen. God, Cade Cunningham is wow. Okay. And then we got the rest of these guys. J-Dub will get my respect. And then the rest of them guys, we got a little bit of work to do. Shout out Derek White.
Yeah, Derek White.
Shout out Derek White. He's solid.
He won a championship and a gold medal. So he deserves his 86. And back to Jamal Murray. If we're going to base Rudy Gobert on his Olympic performance, Jamal Murray, I mean, I like the Denver Nuggets, but he should be down there about 82, 83. He had a rough time. I don't know if something's going on with him, but he's got to get it together. Porzingis at 87, I think, is about right. Jarrett Jackson Jr., I think, is a little higher than I would have expected. Him being higher than Lauri Markkanen, surprising to me. Markkanen was hurt a lot last season, but when he played, he was really good. And, that Memphis team was abysmal. So, Jackson was there. I guess Desmond Bane would have been their go-to guy, but he was probably their biggest player, main player, other than since Ja was out. So he didn't step up to the plate at all. So 87 is a gift. Cade Cunningham being the best player on that Detroit team is not saying anything at all. But I guess they're giving him some type of they're gifted him like they do other ones. Jalen Williams, yeah, he's where he should be. Franz Wagner, I guess so. I'll give him that. He played well for a pretty good Orlando Magic team. Derek White, I'd give him 87 actually, but they felt differently. And DeJounte Murray, that's kind of high for what he did last season with Atlanta. He's lucky to get that. He'd be down there the 84s for me. But everybody else, Porzingis, Yeah, everybody else I think is where they should be
Okay,
for the
I
most
won't
part.
won't disagree too much. I think most notable jumps are obviously J Dub, his breakout season. Look for him to continue to improve. He definitely struggled a little bit against Dallas. He wasn't making them pay on kind of not leaving him open, but he got more attention than he was used to.
Yeah.
So he definitely did not respond with the level of efficiency. He still didn't play bad, but we're going to need more from Jalen Williams going forward if that Thunder team is going to go to the next level.
Mhm.
Franz Wagner, we saw really good postseason from him. Little inefficient, especially the long ball, but overall very good performance from him and Paulo and Jalen Suggs. So look to see what that core is going to do. And I think Franz Wagner's up for I think a super max here coming this next coming off season. So
Mhm.
see what how well he does to see how much of that super max he can get, and if he garners any attention from other pursuers. Um, Derek White, DeJounte Murray, I don't think I think they're okay where they are. I think they would play similar roles if they were like say if DeJounte Murray was on the Celtics, he would play a similar role to
Yeah.
Derek White. So they're very similar in how they would be utilized on a contender, but Pelicans aren't really a contender. Celtics are. That's kind of where you see the difference in those two guys. But
Both products of the Spurs. So
that is
there
true.
you go.
One has an 85 3-point shot, which means he's been working on his shot and making them. DeJounte Murray, not so much.
He's never been a
Um,
3-point threat.
he was a 3-point threat for one season, and then after that, kind of tailed off. Um, won't spend too much more time on him. Good player. Don't think he's that much of a difference maker for the Pelicans, but maybe he can prove me wrong. So now let's jump up from 31 to 36. Make this one quick for myself. Pascal showed a lot of promise in the postseason, where I didn't
Mhm.
think he would move the needle too much for the Pacers. He showed that he's a
Yeah.
very good piece and a very integral part for their future. So he definitely earned my respect. Kind of turned back the clock to the Toronto Raptor days, except now he was the go-to guy. Things that I think Toronto was kind of expecting him to be, he was that for the Pacers. Towns had disappointing flame out in the postseason against the Mavs. He was kind of getting dared to shoot. He was shooting bad shots, contested shots, not utilizing his size against a smaller PJ Washington. Um, he got a +3 in his overall. I mean, he played fine throughout the season, and he had moments in the postseason where he looked really good. But I don't think I would have given him the nod at 88. I think I would have kept him about. I can't be too disrespectful, so I mean maybe
He played
86.
well.
Like he played well, so I mean 88's not bad. I'm not saying it's
No,
bad.
I
I'm
think
just saying
88's right. I mean, his defense improved, and
only
offensively, he
against
was one of their better weapons. So,
he only had good defense against Jokic. Everybody else was kind of but
he,
his defense has improved, and he's not like no bad defender no more. He's
yeah,
respectable in that end. Um, LaMelo, where he's at, that's fine. When he's playing, he's an all NBA guard. So I'm good with LaMelo at 87. He has room to grow, obviously. Drew Holiday's it's pretty high, but showing what he did in the Olympics and for the Celtics in the
I
postseason,
think
I
that's what
can't be mad at 87.
I think that's about right.
Um, Chet went up a whole 10 overall. Chet went crazy this season, though, like this past season. So 10's a bit crazy to me, but at the same time, he might have deserved it.
I mean, he was a major part of that OKC team,
He
both
unlocked them.
both sides. Yeah,
And you got DeMar DeRozan. We'll see how much of a difference he makes for Sacktown. But that's pretty much it. I don't have much complaints. I like besides putting Towns a little lower personally.
yeah. I mean, if for me, I think Lamelo's high based on how much he played last season. He has some long stretches of being injured, so I don't think we got enough of him to really give him a that quite that high. Drew's 3-point shooting being over Derek White is a little weird. 2.
Mhm.
That's kind of high for Drew, but
Mhm.
I guess they see something I don't. But everybody else, that's a good range for them. I think that tier is right for them. Chet, I'm not surprised he jumped up 10 because he proved he's probably going to be an all-star at some point in these next couple of years. So I don't see a problem with him being that high. Um, and DeRozan's he played well. I mean, even though he was on a team that wasn't really winning, he was the flame for those Chicago Bulls and was still pretty efficient at his age. So no problem with. And Pascal, yeah, he earned every penny he got from for the Indiana Pacers. In many ways, I think he outplayed Halliburton in the playoffs. He was really their number one guy, their top option. So 88 is spot on for him. I could, if you, well, realistically, 88 is where he should be. Yeah.
So now we're getting into the 30s to
Ooh.
the low 20 or the high 20s. So we'll stop at Jimmy B right up here. So we got 88 Zion Williamson. We got Ozempic Zion coming through. So we thinking Zion is definitely going to be higher than the 88. He did have an injury, an upsetting one against the Lakers in the play-in tournament, which obviously sidelined him for the rest of that postseason. And of course, going into the offseason, I guess something clicked and he
Yeah.
Ozempic,
He's
so
in he's got himself into some shape.
he definitely did. So 88's kind of low, but I have full intent that Zion, albeit unstoppable in the game, even with an 88 overall, I think he'll be clear in the 90s by the All-Star break or even before that. So no
Yeah.
no concern there.
Yeah.
You got a three-way tie for the 27 to 29. Bam, Fox, and Sabonis. Not mad at it. I think 88 is respectable. I think these ratings can give you a little curve. You can play
Hmm.
up into the 90s, which I think all three of those guys are capable of doing. And
Yeah.
then they can play below themselves and they can, kind of shy away from the moment, which kind of land them in that 85, 86 range.
Well, quick
Um,
quick question before we
go
move
ahead.
on. Out of those three, which one do you think should be higher? Out of Bam, De'Aaron Fox, and Sabonis.
In terms of 2K, I would think De'Aaron Fox would be higher because he's a guard.
Mm,
I think guards get more, I guess, love because of their game. Um, I think Sabonis is nice and Bam is nice, but I just don't think they do. They do the things on, like, especially Bam. He does a lot of things on defense that the other two
mhm,
don't do at his level. But I think De'Aaron Fox, like his quickness, his shooting ability, his layup ability, like those things kind of like can push your overall a little bit better than like the minuscule defensive stats that they might give to Bam, unlike the other two. So I would have thought De'Aaron Fox would have been a little higher, but he was not. Um, and
okay.
then the rest of them, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Trey Young. Trey Young's pretty low. I don't think he deserves to be lower than an 89. I mean, that's pretty bad. I would have at least put him in like a 91, 92. Like
Mm,
he's up there with like Brunson and Ja and like he is just as good as the rest of them. He just plays for a butt team. So it's like, yeah, you know. Tyrese Maxey, 89. I could easily see him being a 90 overall, 91 overall. Like Tyrese Maxey can play with the best of those guards, all NBA guards, might I add.
yeah.
Paul George can get slid under the radar with the Clippers. Now he's on the 76ers, excuse me. Look for him to do very good things there as the second or third option, depending on the night. Paulo showed his true colors out there and played very well. 89 overall, I think that's very good for him. I wouldn't go much higher than that. And Jimmy Butler, you know, with the injury, and obviously they were probably poised to make a decent run. Probably not beat the Celtics, but a decent run nonetheless. 89 is really low for Jimmy Butler, but he doesn't really play that hard in the regular season. So it's not
Hmm.
like it's super crazy. but I think he deserves his respect, and he should be up there with like the Kawhis, the Jaylen Browns, because he can
Mm.
play up to their level, if not higher, in any given playoff series.
So you're giving the legacy pass. He gets a pass just off of what he has done, not what he did last season.
Well, I'm just saying like he's fine at 89. Because I know he doesn't play that hard in the regular season, but I'm saying he can, just like it took him down 6, he can play up to 6
Yeah,
overall
yeah,
at any given point. But 89 is fine because he's still some like respectable in the league. It's just he doesn't play that hard in the regular season.
yeah. And just to be quick, I think everybody's here, especially the 89s, are where they should be because most of those guys are on the cusp of 90. I think, mm, yeah, all of them I think are on the cusp of 90. I thought out of the 3, you want to say Sabonis. That's who I thought could be higher based off of last season because of the things he did. He was, Draymond like in the way he played for that Sacramento Kings team. He kind of did everything, a little bit of everything for him. He's not a defender. He's not close to the defender Draymond is, but he did all the other things very well, especially running the offense and things of that nature. So, yeah, so I think we'll probably see quite a few of these guys go up within probably the first month of the, I don't know how often they update the ratings, but I think if it's a month by month thing or something like that, I think most of these guys, yeah, most of them, probably all of them, are going to hit that 90 mark at some point during the season. Maybe not Paul George, and that's because his role is going to change, I think, tremendously with the Sixers, while everybody else is kind of the man on their team for the most part, other than maybe Bam too, but he's not quite the man on the team. But everybody else, I think, will move up, other than maybe those two. But yeah, I think they're at the right spot.
All right, now we're getting into the top 20. So we'll go from 14 to 21. Got Dame Dollar. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I have a problem with Dame being higher than Tyrese Maxey. Right. I even though technically they're the same, both being 89, but I don't think Dame is Tyrese Maxey level no more. I think at times he can play at an all NBA level, but consistently speaking, I'd have him like 87, 86. I mean, granted, he has room to show me wrong, but I just don't think he's on the same level at this point in his career than some of these guys coming up for sure. Um,
Mhm.
and so I'd have him in like the mid 80s, like 87, 80, 86, 80, something like that. John Morant, crazy disrespectful, 90 overall. Again, it's probably because he's been
I
injured and
mean,
they just
he
kind of
only played a
let him
handful
get.
of games. Yeah.
I hear you, but he at worst is he should be maybe like right below Kyrie, maybe. I'd say like right here. Like go ahead and put him at a 92 because when he comes back and starts murking the rest of the league, that 90 overall is going to look crazy. Victor Wembanyama, 91 overall. Whew, that is high. Like
Oh, you think that's too high for Wimpy?
91 is pretty insane. I'm not saying it's like egregious, but I would have gone with an 89 for Wemby. Let him play himself into a 91. Don't give
Mm,
him the 91 off rip kind of thing. But Wemby is nasty, so I'm not going to fight nobody for having Wemby as a 91. Um, and Kyrie, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's really low. I really need to see the guys ahead of him, but coming off of the postseason that he had, you're gonna find it hard pressed to give me a couple 10, 15 guys, whatever, that are better than Jaylen Brown. Um,
okay.
Donovan Mitchell's cool, Kyrie's cool. That's pretty much all I got. Because Halliburton, he's a little overrated, especially from what he did
Mhm.
in the postseason. But that's kind of a tough one for me, honestly. But I could see him being a 90, and I can also see him being like an 80, 87.
Yeah, the only person on that list I have a problem with is Halliburton. He should be where he shouldn't be over Tyrese Maxey. That's just a given to me. Um, I say his max should be at 88 right now, but I guess they're doing the totality of last season, not just the tail end of it. But he became a star last year, so I guess they're riding off of that. John Morant, he's gonna move up, so 90 is good. That's just a baseline. He'll move up, but I want to see who's above because I've got a question for you when I see some of
All
the
right. Gonna go ahead and
because
jump
it's
up
based
to
on something you said.
6 to 13. Okay.
So do you want me to start, or can I ask you this question based on
Go ahead.
who are 6 through 13?
Go ahead.
O-
Ask away.
Okay, so what does Jalen Brown do better than any of these players?
I am going to say Jalen Brown is better than Devin Booker. I think he's a better two-way player. I think he is more consistent. And
Hmm.
I don't think I think we've seen enough of Devin Booker in the postseason to understand that even though the Celtics are a better team than the Suns, I think right now, currently constructed, going off of their postseasons, going off their regular seasons, I have no argument that Devin Booker is better than Jalen Brown right now.
You mean Jalen Brown's better than Devin Booker?
No,
You think Devin Booker?
Jalen Brown, yeah, Jalen Brown is better than Devin Booker, is what I'm
Okay,
saying. I
okay,
have no argument to put Booker over Brown.
okay, okay. So because you look at those names and you said you felt like you had to see who was above him,
Mhm.
and I don't see many. Maybe Booker. I don't see out of all those other guys. I don't see anybody he's in my mind above. Um, Not even Brunson. I mean, Brunson, I think means more to his team than well, yeah. He means more to the Knicks than Brown does Boston because Boston has players that can step up and do the same things Brown does. But they were just lucky to have all those multiple players that can do those things. But I guess we got to go through 6 through 13. And I guess I'm gonna go through them. 95 for LeBron. Okay. Steph, 95. Okay. Tatum, 95. Okay. Durant, 94. Okay. Anthony Davis, 94. Anthony Edwards, oof, that's a big leap for Ant-Man. He showed some stuff in the playoffs, but he also showed that he's not quite ready for those bright lights quite yet. Um, and I agree with you about Devin Booker. I think Brown could replace him. Jalen Brunson, 93. They can't bump him up too much higher because he's that'd just be crazy. But everybody else pretty much where they should be as far as 2K, as far as what they did last season. I don't see anything too crazy.
Only thing I have for this list, I think when it's all said and done, I think Ja will submit himself probably right in this ballpark. I think he can easily bump himself up to a 93, 94 range if he takes
Yeah.
this Memphis Grizzly team back to where he knows he can take them, which is comfortable in the Western Conference among some of these great teams out there out west. And obviously Anthony Edwards, he ran into Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic was on a mission, destroying, carving up that Minnesota Timberwolves defense. So, he's not ready at this point in time, but running up against Luka, most people his age wouldn't stand much of a chance. So he did his thing. We'll see how he responds next season. Um, I'm not mad with these. I honestly would have thought they would have made Tatum a little higher than LeBron and Curry, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
thought
mad at this
so
list.
too. Yeah, I thought he'd probably be like a 96, but
But then we get to the top dogs. This is where it ends. Got Jokic, the MVP. Luka Doncic, some believe who he should have been the MVP. Got Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shea, who was my MVP, and Joel Embiid.
All of them were in the running,
They were all
other
in the
than
running,
other than Embiid.
and I think all the people, I think what 15, 1 through 15, 20 through 15, all candidates for all NBA. You know, you can make a case for
Hmm.
probably most of them on that list. Um, for me personally, I would knock Giannis down one. I think the clear top two, actually, I would just replace these two. I think Shea should have been like the third at 97. Again, it's minuscule. It's just little tweaks here and there. I think Giannis's injury and how 2K views injuries going into seasons, it should took Giannis down again. No worse than the fifth best player in the league with Embiid being a 96. He was hurt. He was 96. I would have thought they kind of would have done the same thing for Giannis. And the guys who played Jokic, Luka, and Shea would have gotten a 97 overall nod, and that's how they would have rounded out their top three. That's how I would have done it, but I'm not mad at this list either.
I'm not mad at all. Giannis, it's retroactive, like I've said for many of them. He's earned his spot and he went up. Yeah, he went up one. So that's the only little surprising thing that he actually went up. Even though he played a heck of a season last year, he was right there in the running for the MVP. You know, if it wasn't for Jokic and Luka and Shea having monster seasons, he was right there to get him another one. So I'm not too mad with him being over Shea. I think the fact that Giannis didn't play at all in the playoffs helps his case, and the fact that Shea did the best he could, but he just could not lead that number one OKC team over a Dallas Maverick team and lost in the second round as the first place team, which was no shame to them, but they might feel that he's not quite the man. He's not quite there with the that trifecta, but he's definitely on the cusp of being there. So I'm not mad, but I know one thing: Gilbert Arenas' head is probably exploding, seeing that the top 5 players rated in 2K are all foreign-born players, and he has some issues against. He just thinks we're the best, and we are. We proved it in the Olympics, but that might be the last one we get a gold in for quite a few years. So that is our 2K ratings. Did they get them right? So the all 75. If you check this out and you got anything you want to say, if you think that somebody's rated way too high or way too low, let us know in the comment section. But to end tonight, this might be a staple for the show. We might end our shows with this, but let's do some what ifs, because we love to play this what if game offline. And what if Jordan never left? What if this, that? And this one's going to be kind of a softball one. This one ain't going to be nothing to really you have to think. But who's your favorite player?
Obviously, LeBron James.
Okay, so that's who we will be going to today. Let's talk about Mr. James. So these three are, they're not, like I said, they're softballs. They're not nothing that you're going to have to deep dive and think. But so first, number one, what if LeBron James never left the Cleveland Cavaliers? Would his career have panned out the way it has?
No, I think Cleveland being an unmarketable destination for free agents, I just don't see, like, LeBron would have been good enough to keep them out of the lottery, so they never would have gotten a Kyrie Irving or some of these top picks that would eventually, help Cleveland build a championship roster. I had no faith in the front office, the GMs, coaching. I think, could LeBron have maybe got them to another finals appearance? Possibly. But to say he was going to be this level of his career, being able to win multiple championships, multiple MVPs, I think him being in Cleveland, he might have won some more MVPs and probably got more awards, but I don't think he might have got one championship, and that's just a pull, because I doubt he would have won anything or gotten out of the Eastern Conference.
Wow, you have that little faith with Cleveland's front office that they couldn't put nothing together for LeBron to get out of the East and get him a championship multiple times had he not gone to Miami.
It just there's nobody wants to go to Cleveland. Like you don't see any big names go from free agency to Cleveland like you do New York, LA, Miami. Like it just doesn't happen.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, second, what if Ray Allen doesn't hit that shot in Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals? If everything after that pans out the same way, if everything else is the same, but he misses that shot and the Spurs win that championship, of course, they repeat in 2014. Like I said, no changes to the future. That's the only change. Does that change the way LeBron is seen today? Would that one mishap or missed shot have changed how we judge LeBron today?
Um, I I think it puts a stain on his legacy in a different regard than Dallas, right? I think Dallas was the one where he kind of failed, didn't meet expectations, had the better team, et cetera, et cetera. I think for the Spurs, Miami was aging a little bit in that 2013 playoffs. Obviously, they still had enough to win, but it took that shot because San Antonio was kind of firing off on all cylinders. That would have given Tim Duncan 6 rings instead of 5. So maybe Tim Duncan's
Mhm.
in this GOAT debate and LeBron is not because he's got 6 and MJ's got 6 and he's got a boatload of stuff to
And
his resume,
he would be undefeated in the finals had he not
which
lost it.
which would put him clearly in the GOAT debate with Jordan as opposed to LeBron, maybe. Who knows? Because it's a big man against a guard, and most people just give the nod to MJ as a guard anyway. Um, but yeah, I don't think they're talking about LeBron in the same respects. That's another final series that he loses. That's close. If we're saying history stays the same and he goes off to Cleveland, wins a couple, lose some more, it's hard to kind of put him in that conversation. It's already hard for people to put him in with 4. You take one of those away, he's at 3, and they don't put they probably have him somewhere in the top 10, but I don't think he cracks a lot of top fives with only 3 rings.
Fair enough. And finally, this one's looking into the future. Okay, what if LeBron James and those Lakers do not make the playoffs this season? Is that a stain on his legacy? If they don't make it at all, no play in, no nothing. They're down there at the bottom. Do not get a playoff berth. Does that put a stain on his current legacy?
No. Um, them not making the playoffs does not put a stain on his legacy, considering he is turning 40 years old or 40. Yeah, I think he's turning 40 this year. This December, actually. Um, I don't think it puts a stain on his legacy. I think the Lakers are good enough to make the playoffs, yes, but they didn't make any moves. Like you could argue a lot of teams out west better, some probably got worse, but they all at least did something. The Lakers did nothing. So if you're asking me, will this put a stain on LeBron's legacy? I mean, what, not making the playoffs at age 40 is going to hurt him? No. I mean, you guys look at it like this, like he could win another championship and most people will still have him out of their top 5 or out of the GOAT debate or out of their top 10. So anything LeBron does at this point in his career, it doesn't matter. People like me already have him in the GOAT debate as the GOAT, might I add. So it doesn't matter if he doesn't make the playoffs this year. Now, if he's averaging like 4 points a game and he's looking like the worst thing I've seen in my entire life, well, then we got to reevaluate. But again, he's going to be 40. So I mean, like, I don't see anything that they do that's going to hurt his legacy amid him just shooting like 10% from the field and 10% from 3 or something like that. That's
Okay.
all I could think of.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I threw you some softballs this time, but as we build on this, if we want to do this in the future, we can get a little bit more detailed and something we may have to dive into. But with that said, that's it for GOATcast podcast today. You said 2K comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, for those who pre-order the game, like myself, they can play it, I think, as early as tomorrow at around 8 a.m. I will be at work, so I cannot partake that early, but I will be getting off a little early to partake in my 2K festivities. And if you want to get dropped off, let me know. I'll be more than happy to drop you off. And if you want to join my squad and drop people off, by all means, pull up. I'm on PS4 or PS5, excuse me, not PS4. But yeah, if y'all want to just go ahead and hop on the bandwagon, pull up. If y'all want to get dropped off, pull up too.
Yeah, well, definitely if y'all watch this and you have a PS5, let us know your gamer tag so you can add you in and y'all can come play with Big Nines. I don't play it anymore, so I'll be a spectator for you guys. But
it's crossplay too. So if they got Xbox,
okay. So I didn't know if it's
Xbox
crossplay. I didn't know it's crossplay. Okay, so yeah, if you got an Xbox, whichever one, I got an Xbox, so maybe at some point.
No way. If y'all get this man on 2K, that'll be worse than Flight Reacts, dog. That's the Flight Reacts 2K right there.
Hey, I'm an old man playing. I'm an old man playing it. So with that said, any parting words before we get out of here?
No, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in and running the numbers up for us, hitting that subscribe button. Definitely greatly appreciated.
Yep.
If you got any ideas of what y'all want us to discuss in the future, if you like this what if that CW kind of pitched at the end, we can definitely do more if y'all like it. Definitely stay engaged with the polls. We're going to try to gauge your opinion more as we continue to push out this content. We want to make sure we're putting out stuff that you guys want to see and you guys will enjoy. But as always, we appreciate you for all the support. And that's all I got.
Yeah, I ditto from me, everything he just said. So we will be back next week. We may have one of us may do a video before the end of this week. I'm not sure, but we will be going through the upcoming season. We'll be going through the different divisions, kind of giving our thoughts on who will do what next season, and just kind of, going through all the different divisions and giving our expert analysis. But yeah, that's it for today. We really appreciate you guys. Please continue to check the community posts because we'll try to post some more polls and different things for you guys to interact with us. And if we get some people on here, we will start inviting you guys if you want to hop on and ask us questions or you have any comments or anything. I'll start trying to put the link in if you have StreamYard, or even if you don't, as long as you have something that you can click the link on, you can come join us and, just shoot the breeze with us. So that'll be it for GOATcast podcast for tonight. And we will be back very, very soon.
All right, y'all.